feel like I'm walking a bit of a tightrope here. So I'm sorry if I end up on your lap, James. Awesome. So this is a room full of, it seems, very serious professionals. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? So I'm going to start off with a very, very serious question. You ready?
Yes.
How many people grew up watching superhero movies, cartoons, or reading comic books? Yeah? And how many people ever thought or ever wanted to have some kind of superpower? Whether it's, flying, X-ray vision, those kind of cool things. Yeah? And I'll be honest, guys, I was exactly the same as you. And for me, the thing that I wanted was the power to be invisible. Yeah? And, I'd like to sit here and say that I wanted to be invisible so that I could do more good in the world and I could be really noble. But the truth is, guys, I wanted to be invisible to see what kind of stuff I could get away with. Yeah? But in all seriousness, there were times in my life when I was faced with difficult challenges and difficult obstacles. And in those moments too, I found myself wishing that I could be invisible. But that was until I discovered my hidden superpower. And today, my friends, I'm here to share with you 3 ideas to help you unleash your hidden superpower as well. Sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. But I'm going to caveat it a little bit. And this is something that my mentor says. He says, when a novice hears something that they've heard before, do you know what they say? They say, I knew that. Repeat after me. I knew that. Yeah. But when a master, an expert, hears something that they've heard before, do you know what they say? They say, thank you for the reminder. Say it with me. Thank you for the reminder. So, I'm hoping I'm going to be sharing some good reminders with you today, and I'm going to jump straight into the first one right now. We ready? Yeah. Awesome. So the first thing that I want to share with you guys is, and this is a question you should ask yourself, so I'd suggest you write this down actually. The question is, are you in extreme ownership? Are you in extreme ownership? And let me start by defining, this idea of extreme ownership. So regular ownership, if we imagine that we all live on a street, regular ownership is to say that it's my responsibility to keep my section of the street clean and tidy. Yeah? Whereas extreme ownership is to say it is my responsibility to ensure that the whole neighborhood remains clean and tidy. Yeah? Now you can already see that extreme ownership holds you to a higher level of accountability than regular ownership. And the way that I apply this in my life actually, and this might be a bit hard hitting, but I take ownership, in fact I take responsibility for being disabled. Wow. Yeah? And you might say, hey Winston, how can you take ownership and responsibility for something that was clearly well beyond your control? But for me, this ties in with the idea of, life happens to all of us, right? And I could sit back and say, hey, I'm Winston and I got dealt some really bad cards and I'm just going to sit back and take it. Yeah? But the approach I prefer is, hey, I'm Winston. These were not the best cards in the world, but I'm still going to find a way to win. Are you with me?
Yes.
Awesome. And the way you can apply it in your corporate careers is, there's going to be times when things happen at work. Yeah? And a lot of the time, that stuff is not even your fault. But in that moment, you get to choose whether to play victim or whether to be in extreme ownership. And I believe this is the first step to unlocking your hidden superpower. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Awesome. The second idea that I want to share with you, and again, it's sort of a question you might want to write down, is, are you embracing a fixed mindset or are you embracing a growth mindset? Feel free to take a picture of this slide. This is part of a study by a psychologist named Carol Dweck. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but she's done a famous TED Talk. I'm sure some of you may have watched it. And her thing is, The thing that I want you to take away from this is, as managers, especially as leaders, I want you to, I know we all work in a very high pressured environment where results are very, very important, right? And the thing that I want you to take away from this is, yes, results are super important, but I want you also to recognize the effort, the process, and the thinking of your teams, right? Almost like if you think of the little kid who tried to work out a complicated math problem, right? And they followed all the steps of the formula, but for some reason they didn't get the correct answer at the end. But if we acknowledge and if we recognize the thinking and the process that is being applied correctly, we can then trust that eventually the results will begin to reflect in the process. Make sense? Awesome. And the final thing that I want to share with you, remember I'm sharing with you 3 ideas to unleash your hidden superpower. The third and final thing is learn to celebrate all your wins. Yeah? Celebrate all your wins. I mean, I sent a bunch of emails the other day. I sent 5 emails and I went on a 3-day bender, which was probably not the best idea because I lost a lot of productivity. But it's important because, as Penny mentioned earlier, we have a brain that is designed to work in fight or flight mode, right? Which is kind of cool when you're trying to evade predators in the forest, but maybe not so great if you're responding to emails and to pressure situations at work. So the way to address this is to learn to celebrate your wins, and you can start to step away from some of the negativity and some of the overwhelm that can be created by this default function of our brains. Make sense? Awesome. And you might be wondering at this point, clicker work? There you go. You might be wondering, so Winston, you said to us you're going to tell us what the hidden superpower is. And I am. So the hidden superpower is grit, yeah? And this is something that I believe we all have within us, right? And for me, grit is this idea of being able to hit obstacles, to hit adversity, and come up the other side, not a weakened, but a better version of yourself, yeah? And because you guys are all corporates, I know you love an acronym, yeah? So I went to the trouble of creating something for you. Yep. So give it your all, yeah? Redo if necessary. Ignore giving up and take the time to do it right. I believe these principles here are a good way of covering and summarizing this idea of grit and to bring out this superpower that you all have within you. In conclusion, I've got this cool little quote here which I like, which says, "A comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there, guys. Get out of there. Step out of your comfort zone. Unleash your hidden superpower, because at the end of the day, we all have a choice. Be resilient or resign." Thank you very much.